All right, so in the last video we talked about the A, B, and O blood types. In this video we're going to talk about the Rh factor. Now the Rh factor, why is it Rh? Well, we discovered it in rhesus monkeys, R-H-E-S-U-S, rhesus monkeys, and so that's where the Rh comes from. But essentially, what is this Rh factor? It's another type of antigen. Remember we said there's A antigens and B antigens in the last video. Well, now there's another classification, a separate classification of antigens. It's an Rh antigen. Now it's a little bit different. Here's how it works. The Rh antigen, you either have it or you don't. So it's not like there's an Rh positive antigen and an Rh negative antigen. There's no such thing as that. If you have the Rh antigen, you are Rh positive. If you do not have the Rh antigen, then you are Rh negative. So the absence of that Rh glycoprotein, you are Rh negative. If you have it, the presence of it indicates that you are Rh positive. Okay. Now, as far as donating back and forth, if you look at the Rh, a positive, so we always said the recipient attacks, right? That's still true when we're looking at the Rh because it has to be a match. Now, when we look at Rh positive person, what kind of antibodies in the realm of Rh can we make? Can we make anti-Rh negative antibodies? No, because there's no such thing as an Rh negative antigen. Are you following me? So here's the thing. There's only one type of antibody in that Rh classification. It's anti-Rh. Rh positive says that me being Rh positive, I have the Rh antigen, which means I do not produce anti-Rh antibodies. Otherwise, I would attack self. Doesn't make any sense. So Rh positive individuals do not make any anti-Rh antibodies. Okay? It means they have the Rh antigen. They don't make the anti-Rh antibodies. When we look at an Rh negative person, they have the absence of that antigen, which means they do not have the Rh glycoprotein. So they have the ability to make the anti-Rh antibodies, which would attack what? What it says it will attack. What's it anti? What's it against? It's against Rh. So anti-Rh antibodies would attack Rh. So when we look at the recipient attacking, okay, let's make the Rh positive person the recipient, okay? So, recipient attacks, right? Well, as far as Rh is concerned, we don't make any anti-Rh antibodies as an Rh positive person. So, can a positive receive from a positive? That's easy because self can always receive from self, right? If I'm positive and I'm the recipient, can I receive from a negative? Many would say no because they have the anti-Rh antibodies or can make them. Wrong, because I'm the recipient. So the Rh positive person, when they're the recipient, and recipients attack, we have to keep going back to the well. The recipients attack. So if I'm the Rh positive person and I'm the recipient, I can receive from the negative. An easy way to remember it is if I'm positive, I can receive from both positive and from negative. So being positive has that dual benefit, right? I can receive from positive and I can receive from negative. So essentially, an Rh positive person can receive from both positives and negatives. Now, if I was an Rh negative individual, I can receive from Rh negative because self can receive from self. Can I receive from a positive? Positive doesn't have any weapons, but it doesn't matter because in this case, the positive is the donor. Donors don't attack. As the recipient, can an Rh negative person receive from an Rh positive person? No, because the anti-Rh antibodies I can make can attack the Rh positive antigens of the donor, okay? So, there's one other key caveat that some of you may be thinking about if you've heard about blood typing before. We don't initially have anti-Rh antigens as an Rh negative individual. We become sensitized after first contact. So if we had contact with Rh positive blood as an Rh negative person, we would then synthesize the anti-Rh antibodies, but that first contact would not cause a reaction, okay? And the reaction that we would get, by the way, is called agglutination. It's clumping of the cells. What happens is these antibodies attach to the antigens of multiple red blood cells, okay, or at least the foreign antigens, and it will clump them together. So we'll attach and clump those red blood cells together. And then a problem with that is the cells will lyse prematurely. That means they will break prematurely, which means you'll lose red blood cells, but you'll also have clotting because of the clumping, so you can have clots in small arteries. And the third thing is you leak hemoglobin into the bloodstream, and too much hemoglobin can be toxic for the kidney. It can actually cause the kidneys to shut down. Back to the RH here. We become sensitized upon first contact. We synthesize, as an Rh negative person, we synthesize those anti-Rh antibodies. The second time we come in contact with it, we would attack the Rh antigens of the Rh positive person if we were to receive Rh positive blood as an Rh negative person. Okay. Now, are you saying that an Rh negative blood can receive from an Rh positive person the first time? No. I'm saying we wouldn't do that because we don't know if they've been exposed at some point in time to Rh positive blood, so there's still a risk factor that at some point the Rh antibodies have been formed, so generally that's not the case when we're blood matching. At least that's not how I test it, so if you're one of my students, we're testing it definitively that an Rh negative person will not ever receive from an Rh positive person, because if they've ever been sensitized, if they've ever made those antibodies, then they would attack, so we just won't do it. And so, if you have any questions, let me know. There's a lot of information there, but stay strong and I'll see you next time.